handy dandy reminders. Again, sorry for the wait. I had planned on just using what we had shot the other day, kind of in, the one take kind of thing. But re-listening to it again today during the editing process, I didn't feel comfortable releasing it. Not because I'm ashamed of anything, guys, but because this next part doesn't only talk about me, and love always protects. So I want to protect the other people that are involved. So bear with me, because I'm going to try and nail concepts down without talking about certain specifics as we go along. So anyways, the last thing that we touched on was the idea that, this awesome moment of healing happens with my dad, which is really cool. And I stopped believing the lie that I'm just dirty. And that was fine. But there was a whole mess of other stuff happening under there that didn't change right in that moment, where I believed things about me that were very different than what God believed about me. So me as a teenager was me at my most opinionated, me at my most outspoken, and in a lot of ways, I suppose, me at my most intelligent. And that's a really dangerous combination, because if you want to be right more than you want the other person to be loved, then your facilities that would otherwise be used to build them up can often be used to shut people down and hurt them. And I did a lot of that, sadly. Part of why is because at the time, I really was very firm in the belief that we needed to have right doctrine and right theology. But I wanted that so much that it meant the different opinions about that stuff, the different perspectives on it. Someone's playing upstairs. That those different opinions or different perspectives that we might have break relationship between people. And it doesn't have to be that way. I could talk to you about discussions of numerous philosophies. I can tell you that I want to say somewhere between 12 and 13, I did a silly amount of research on a lot of different world faiths, because I wanted to know why Christianity was any different than any of the rest of them. Why it mattered that I identify as a Christian. And I tried to be as objective about that as I could. I mean, we looked at everything from Hinduism and Islam, Buddhism, atheism, Scientology, Mormonism, various forms of New Age practice. And in the midst of all of it, honestly, I found holes in everything. But it was very difficult to find holes, at least from a scholarly approach, in Christianity. I know so much flack if this ever gets popular like we think it is. That one statement is going to be, and the trolls were heard from miles away. But that doesn't matter right now, because so far it's a few of you, and thank you guys for watching. I want to boil down like a decade's worth of discussions over philosophy and perspectives and doctrine and so on and so forth, and I want to try and just encapsulate it in a couple sentences. I don't need to be right, but we do need to be aligned with Holy Spirit. And honestly, the only stuff that actually needs to get discussed in the kind of, well, we might have to go separate ways in terms of ministry level things, are issues that stop you or Jesus from being who Jesus is. So if you are stopped from doing ministry or work of the Spirit because of a particular perspective, I would say that's a problem worthy of discussion. Or if Jesus stops being God and is taken into some weird or extraneous place against the core of the faith, that's something worth discussing as well. But honestly, at this point, I don't give a rip about discussion. It doesn't matter to me very much. I'd rather just love people and have the relationship that I have with them be the testament to who Jesus is. And not just the relationship, but also the work that they see done. Like we see miracles happen all the time, guys, like at Come and Go and in in Best Buy and Walmart and take your pick. Where people are, Holy Spirit likes to be. So I just glossed over a just stupidly large chunk of my teenage years, but honestly, I think that's all it deserves. What I need to talk about, and the part that I've got to be careful about, is the pursuit of healing as a teenager. Sorry, I've really actually legitimately got to be careful how I talk about this. Holy Spirit, I need your words. Speak through me and help me not be overly vague, but help me respect and protect those people that you adore, which is all of them. I care about people a lot. They matter to me deeply, like to the core of my being. And I had someone very close to me suffer a reasonably grievous injury that changed how they were able to do life. And through a series of events and discussions, the youth group that I was a part of, we gathered around this person and sought healing. And they weren't healed. And I've seen a lot of people not get healed. But the thing that set it up to be a not great situation was that in the midst of this person not being healed, a lot of immediate assumptions were made about why. And as Christians, we like to do that a lot because I shouldn't say Christians, as Western thinkers, we like to do that a lot. In the West, you always need an answer for something. You have to apply your experience to what you believe to be true, and what you believe will change based on your experience. And in the East, it's a different thing entirely. What you believe to be true doesn't adapt to your experience. Your experience adapts to what you believe. So, for instance, where I think I'm safe to say this much. Where people were comfortable making God the reason why my friend wasn't healed, I was very uncomfortable. And my discomfort doesn't matter. And I should not have been affected by it then, but I didn't know any better, and I apologize. I don't think it's ever okay to make God a villain for the sake of our lack of understanding. And I know that philosophy, like that school of thought about God being responsible for injuries, that it's, God not healing somebody when they don't get healed. I understand why people make those assumptions, why they come to those conclusions, but I believe it's very wrong. And the reason why is not because I have a theological point or a doctrinal piece that I want to hash out with anyone. It's because I believe that God is better than my dad. And in that last video, we talked about, how my dad blew my mind in terms of accepting me and loving me. And that my dad is not perfect. He's not God. And God is perfect. And he also calls himself my dad. So I've got to assume that he does the dad thing even better than my earthly father. It's not okay, in my opinion, in my heart, to put characteristics or behavioral patterns on God that would look like child abuse if it was an earthly parent doing the parenting. And I stood on that, and I fought for it, and I did not fight well, and I did not fight in a way that honors God, because I did not lay my life down for the people that I would argue with. I didn't even lay my life down for my friend, because there were plenty of times where I had a chance to support this person more than I did. And I felt hurt because of choices. I felt hurt because you don't need to know any more than that. And I let that hurt define my beliefs about people, and my belief about the bride, and my belief about what I needed to do in the midst of interacting with her. So after all of that, after all of the thing with this friend where, we went after healing as a crew and then it didn't happen, I wanted to keep fighting for healing because Because even more than God is better than my dad, I knew God was better than me. And if I wanted my friend to be healed, and my heart's not perfect, and I don't have more mercy than God, and I'm not smarter than him, but I could see ways that it could work, and in my heart, and I knew that it was from a place of love wanting this person to be healed, I knew that I could say with assurance that God also wanted this person well. And I stand on that to this day. But I made a lot of enemies because I was not kind in this pursuit. I don't have an excuse for it. I was after healing and I was hurting people trying to get there.